Hey everybody, it's Sarah. Welcome to another gardening video. The first gardening video of 2021. I'm actually going to take you on a tour of what we have and what we have planned for this year. And the next video that you'll actually see after this will be me planting my potatoes, because we're actually going to get the potatoes in the garden. So why don't we just go ahead and get into it and get started. All right, so we're just gonna start here. This is where I planted my garlic last year. So I have quite a few different kinds of garlic. This is a miscellaneous garlic that my mom's friend at work gave me. It's looking pretty cool. I'm excited to see how it turns out. The cloves were really huge. It might be elephant garlic, I'm not sure. My garden mentor gave me garlic cloves, so that's what these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows are. My rhubarb is starting to come up in these 3 spots. And then I also, if you guys remember last year, I did find some wild garlic. So I went ahead and planted a couple rows of wild garlic as well. And I'm excited to see how they do this year. Over here is where we're going to be planting our potatoes again, but I'm also going to be putting potatoes in some grow bags this year. So we'll see how that goes. These are 5-gallon grow bags from iPower. They're pretty decent size. You'll actually see later in the video I do have some strawberries planted in these, and I do plan on getting more so I can plant some of my onion starts. So we'll see how that goes this year with planting potatoes. We have added a new garden bed. Actually, we've added 5 new garden beds. This is one of them. I don't know what I'm planting in here yet. I know we want to plant herbs, so maybe one of these raised garden beds is going to be an herb garden bed. So we'll see how that works out and what we end up planning to do with that. And my sister's visiting me today, so cameo! We decided to redo our composting area because we had a lot of weeds that were coming up, and everything was just crooked and just didn't look nice. So we ended up using our old strawberry pallet planter that we built last year that just didn't work out well for the strawberry plants that we had. It wasn't really efficient, took up too much space, and it just wasn't doing what we wanted it to. So we repurposed it. We turned over the compost that we had last year, and that's what that is. And this is where we're gonna be putting our new trimmings and scraps and veggie scraps and stuff like that. And then we're gonna start integrating everything together over there. So we're hoping that this setup is going to work a lot easier and a lot better for us, especially since we put that weed fabric down. Now, right here where we have our boat, we don't have room for it in the garage right now because we have a lot of stuff in there, but this is pretty much where our greenhouse is going to be put up this year, and I'm excited to show you guys our process with that. This is pretty much the only spot that is level, that gets consistent amount of sun, and I think it's going to be a great place for our greenhouse. So whenever I start to work on that process, you'll see a series of videos on that, and I'm really excited to get that going this year. So here is another one of our new garden beds. Last year, this is where the pallet planter was. We tore that down, as I said a little bit ago, and we decided to put in an actual raised garden bed, and I think this is going to work out a lot better for us. Have not decided what to put in this yet, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. We're also going to be doing a lot of landscaping, or at least I am, so that we don't have to like weed right here. Put some landscape and some mulch down. We're going to do the same thing over here. Put some landscape and mulch down, plant some annual flowers there. So we'll see how that does this year. But we're gonna go ahead and go into the garden so I can give you some of my ideas for this year. All right. We decided to, since last year we had a lot of struggle with weeds, which, I mean, In reality, they're dandelion plants, which don't have to be weeds, and you can see some of them are starting to grow up through on the edges. But we struggled a lot with weeds last year. So we ended up putting down some newspaper and some cardboard and putting a good thick layer of mulch on top to help prevent that from happening. Obviously, we're not going to be able to prevent it on these edges, and that's something that we'll be able to manage, but there were just entirely way too many weeds here last year, so we took that time to prep that. We're going to be adding some more compost here. We did decide to, where a lot of our planting is going to be, to put some tarp down and to stake it down so that it prevents some weeds from growing or starts to kill weeds from growing. And you can see where some of the tarp meets the edges and stuff like that. There are weeds growing, but we'll be able to pull those up. So I'm excited to see how well the tarping did. It's only been on here for maybe a month now. So it's going to be another week or so before we start tilling the ground, before we put new compost on top. We wanted to till it last year, but we just didn't have enough time, and there's a lot of clay underneath, so we want to get that old compost mixed in and then put new compost on top. We amended our garden beds this year, and we do have a little bit of a gutter issue. I don't know if you can see some of those dark spots, but we do have a little bit of a leak issue, and we're going to get that fixed this weekend before I start planting. I'm actually a couple, maybe like 2 weeks behind schedule of what I did last year with planting, but I don't think it's going to be late to plant any of this stuff because it stays pretty well shaded right here, and I'll be able to continue to plant my lettuces and everything like that. But for the garden this year, we're planning on getting cattle panel and T-posts, and we're going to use that to stake up our tomato plants. So we're going to have maybe 6-7 rows of that in the garden here, and whenever we go to put that together, we'll definitely make a video. These are our other 3 raised garden beds. I do have plans for these. I know one of them I'm going to be putting the ground cherries in. I want to put landscape fabric in the ground or on top of the soil before I plant them in. That way when the ground cherries fall, I don't have to dig through the dirt to get them. And I think the other one, I might do huckleberries and might do some of the onion starts that I'm going to be getting. But one of them I dedicated solely to strawberries. So I decided to put it over here because even though it's shaded right here right now, this section right here will get a lot of sun once it starts to get a little bit warmer and the sun moves slightly. So this is going to be a great spot for those types of plants. Something else that we redid this year, we had our rain barrels in last year. However, we had an issue whenever both of them ended up getting flooded with water. It ended up breaking what it was on. What we had them on was temporary anyway. So we ended up building a platform for them. And I think this is going to work out much better. I have a lot of space to get there and fill up like a watering bucket or something like that. And then we're going to also end up doing some landscaping right here. There's the rest of my compost pile. I'm going to end up needing more though. And here are those grow bags that I was talking to you about. I did have 3 leftover strawberry plants. So I went ahead and planted these in here to see how they do. And I'll be excited to see what happens with them. I've never grown in grow bags before. I've seen other people grow in them. So it'll be nice to see how they turn out. I also have some plants right there. I think it's rosemary and sage. Haven't planted them yet, but I haven't figured out where I'm putting my herbs at. And then this is my pride and joy. This is my asparagus bed. I'm really excited with how this has turned out. Last year I planted these, and these I started from seed, This one, which is the only one that I've seen so far that has come back, that is a crown. Right here gets a lot of sun. I did just add some compost to the top of this to give a little fertilization. But I'm super excited. There's, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 crowns that I planted from seed, that I started from seed, that are coming back this year. Now, I can't pick any of these. I probably won't be able to pick them next year either, since I started them from seed. But I think it's super successful, and in the long run, I'm going to get so much from these. I'm just so thrilled with how well they've done. I did end up ordering more of these seeds from Baker Creek, and I'm probably going to end up starting seeds again this year and planting some seedlings right here where those crowns didn't come back from last year. But I successfully did one. Obviously, for me, planting from seed is my way to go for asparagus, so I'm excited to see how it goes this year. Thank you guys for joining me today on my first garden tour of 2021. I know there's not a lot going on right now, but there's a lot behind the scenes. I wanted to make a couple videos of me starting my seeds and transplanting, but I was so busy and just didn't have the time. I had taken a couple videos and it's already been just well past that point to upload them. So hopefully next year that's something that I can plan to do for you. But in the meantime, be sure to like and follow me. Be sure to hit the bell if you want to get notifications. Leave any comments below if you have any questions, or if you have any suggestions for what I can plant in those garden beds that I have. And I hope you all have a very nice and happy day. Happy gardening. Any words of wisdom?
You're asking me. Words of wisdom.
Yep. All right.
Trust no one.
Trust no one. Words of wisdom?
More words of wisdom? Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe actually teach me something before you have me ask words of wisdom?
Okay.